What's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I'll be posting Slave Set as well as 4 Years Strong, and I have a song for Picturesque. They pretty much had the same set as the last time I saw them a few months ago, so I'll keep it the same for that. And then we got a ton of album reviews. This one is probably going up with another album that's coming out the same day, Counterparts. So if you like that band, make sure to check that out. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything audio addiction related. I'm gonna try to get to a few other albums maybe this week and the following week. There's some really awesome albums that are coming out towards the end of this month and next month. So if you have any albums you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments. That would be greatly appreciated. So tonight we're going to be talking about Circa Survive's new record, The Amulet. So I've been an on again and off again Circa Survive fan. I remember listening to their first couple records, Juturna and On Letting Go and Blue Sky Noise. Blue Sky Noise being my favorite from them so far. Really didn't listen to this Dissensus or Violent Waves. Violent Waves I kind of got into a little bit, but definitely I did not listen to the Dissensus. And when I heard that they were getting moved to Hopeless, I was kind of interested to see A, that move, and B, you know, how their sound has evolved and changed over the years. I know that they are not the band that they used to be, and Blue Sky Noise, and I know that they have gone through a few different iterations of, you know, how they sound and stuff like that. So I was curious to check out this record, and so I'm gonna go through each song, give you my thoughts and opinions on it. I'm gonna give some pros and cons on the record, and then I'm gonna finish it out with a rating. So let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comments below as well. I'd love to get a conversation going on this record. So the first track is called Lustration. This one was the actual first single and first song off the record. Ironically enough, it was one of those songs that I feel like is a grower song. I really like the cool sort of reverse guitar intro with, you know, Anthony Green's iconic voice. I definitely love what he does. I think, you know, his voice is just such a memorable voice in this sort of musical scene. So for me, it was kind of cool to go back to the roots of, you know, bands that I started listening to that got me into this type of music. And, you know, Circa definitely has those sort of vibes to it. But I will definitely say that I was not the biggest fan of this track starting off. I listened to the YouTube video, and I don't know, it just didn't grab me. And maybe it was just, you know, maybe I was just listening to it and I was trying to do other reviews or something like that. But to me, this one definitely pulled a lot of really great stuff out of it, and I think to me this one grew to be absolutely one of my favorite tracks off the record. I've always liked the way Circa writes. I feel like they have great flow to their music. Again, referencing Blue Sky Noise, I still think that that's their best record, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have other opinions, you know, either be Juturna or On Letting Go, or even maybe Violent Waves or Dissensus, but I really enjoyed that record a lot. And, you know, I feel like this one is kind of, you know, following in the same footsteps a little bit, maybe a little bit different, but I definitely like that. I feel like the drumming really pulls me in on this track, which is, I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's really kind of an ear catcher for me to hear a really good drummer fill up a track like this. And a lot of the tracks off this album, in my opinion, I feel like he's absolutely the focal point of this track. And for this track being kind of a longer track in the sort of 5 minute plus range, I feel like it really holds my attention, honestly. I always have really big kind of, I wouldn't say gripes about long tracks, because I do like longer style tracks, but I feel like to me, you can lose attention really fast the longer the track becomes. So I think it's really good that, you know, obviously they've been doing music for a while, and I feel like they have really kind of honed in on those sort of longer tracks where, you know people are going to be listening to it. So I really feel like they held my attention on this one, and I think it's a good opener track to start off the record with. So we're going to move into track number 2, which is Never Tell a Soul. This is another favorite of mine. I feel like the beginning half of the track is kind of a continuation of Lustration, like I mentioned, but I definitely like the vibes of that track, like I mentioned. So this one is kind of again right up my alley in that regard. Loving the chorus. I feel like it has great rhythm and great flow to it. I like that they switched it up in the second verse with a more melodic, sort of ambient driven instrumental backing to this track. I really feel like Anthony has always accented the instrumentals very well, and in a unique way. I also like that he added a bit of grittiness to his vocals in this track. I feel like it adds a cool dimension to just his vocal prowess, and you'll hear that a lot throughout most of these tracks off this album. But I definitely feel like this one is kind of one to be highlighted on. So I'm gonna move into track number 3, which is Premonition of the Hex. This is probably another single. I don't know how recent it was. I know that they just released a music video, a few music videos, I think 4 in total, off the album. This happens to be one of them. I like that this track is a little bit more bass centric, which is interesting, and I feel like it definitely offers a big integral part to this track. In particular, I like that this one seems a bit more experimental than the previous tracks. I know that they've always had the experimental vibes, but this one feels far different from the tracks that we just listened to, or that you guys just listened to off this record. But I definitely appreciate the variety, and I feel like again it adds another kind of tick to their wheel, and I really enjoy that. The drums and bass feel like the backbone of the track, where the lead guitar and the rhythm guitar and Anthony's vocals kind of add that sort of accent piece where they're playing off the drums and the bass. I feel like those are kind of the solid parts in the track, and a lot, I would say 95% of this track is based around the drums and the bass patterns. So I really enjoy that. I really feel like that Anthony's voice and just the two guitar players add this different textures and different layers to the track that would otherwise seem a little bit bland or a little bit boring. So I like that they have that sort of creative liberty in this track. I would say that besides it being kind of a little bit of an odd track, I would definitely not say that it's a bad track. It might not be one of my personal favorite tracks, but I like the quirkiness of it, and I definitely feel like it's an interesting one. So we're going to move into track number 4, which is Tunnel Vision. This happens to be another favorite of mine. I love that sort of drum roll in. I thought that was really cool and kind of a memorable piece to this track. Absolutely loving the chorus in this song. I feel like it has a really memorable melody to it, and it absolutely got stuck in my head after I think I listened to this album at least like 10 to 15 times now. Really loving the guitar riff slash like chord progression in this one. It's definitely one of my favorite guitar driven tracks off the record. Anthony's vocals just glide over this track, but I especially love the ending melody. I feel like it's really hauntingly beautiful, and a great usage of his falsetto. I've always loved his sort of higher range and his higher extensions in a lot of his vocals, but I feel like this one accents it the best and just utilizes his sort of high register in a really kind of beautiful way. So I would totally recommend this track once you get to listening to this album. So we're going to move into track number 5, which is At Night It Gets Worse. This track definitely has a cool groove to it, but I feel like personally it's missing something. Maybe the song maybe it's just because the song's a little bit more mellower and ambient to it, but I feel like they have incorporated those sorts of elements in a lot of the tracks off the record, and it still had that great sort of camaraderie to it and just vibe to it. So I feel like this one was just kind of, to me, a personal just road bump on the record. I feel like the vocals were really good, especially again with the sort of higher register of Anthony's vocals. I also like the back and forth between the 5 minutes and 10-second mark to the end of the track, with the sort of two vocal layers. I thought that was a really cool ear catcher in my opinion. But to me, I feel like this one's a little bit on the sort of I wouldn't say bad side either. It's just one that I just didn't really get and just wasn't feeling as much as a lot of the other tracks that are either my favorite or ones that, I generally enjoyed. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is Stay. This one's absolutely my favorite track off the record, or really damn close to being my favorite. But I really feel like they combine the best elements of just sort of rock and just the ambientness, of the guitar writing. I feel like the guitar riffs are really great, both bass and obviously guitars, like I mentioned. I feel like it offers a change of pace to a lot of the tracks off the record, and it being a little bit on the shorter side. I think it's like 2 minutes and like 30-ish seconds, which is really cool. I like that the bridge has a sort of eerie, haunty feeling to it, which I like a lot. I definitely feel like this one is a short one, like I mentioned, but is definitely memorable in my opinion. And again, it just combines the really great aspects of Anthony's vocals and just instrumentals combined together. So we're gonna move into track number 7, which is Rites of Investiture. This one is another single. I think that this is the third single. I could be wrong, but this one is one of my favorites as well. I like that this one is a bit more aggressive, more rocky, and I feel like a lot of the tracks off this record are a bit more in that sort of ambient, more melodic, more experimental space, as opposed to the more rock esque. I wouldn't say that this doesn't lack that sort of ambientness to it, but I would say it's not as prevalent, if that makes sense. I feel like it's not at the forefront. It's a bit more. This one's a bit more grungy. It's got a little bit more grit to it, which I like. I like that the bass is kind of the center point of this track as well. I think that the bass has just this sort of punchiness to it, which I really enjoy. Vocally, it sounded awesome. I feel like Anthony just hits on all cylinders on this track and kind of hits the full gambit of what he does best, which is those sort of high range vocals as well as some grit to it. I feel like it adds a bit of texture, it adds a little bit of diversity to this one as well, and it just adds a little bit more drive to it, which I like. The guitars definitely were experimented with, but I feel like it fit the song very well, and just the aggressive tonality of the track, which is cool. I loving this sort of expansive bridge. I feel like it opens up this track in a really unique way, and easily one of the best tracks off the record, without a doubt. So we're gonna move in track number 8, which is the Hex. This one is also a favorite of mine. I like this sort of atmosphere that they created in this track. I feel like the again, the backbone and the stability of this track is just the sort of the bass and the drums. I feel like they're kind of at the forefront, or not. I wouldn't say they're at the forefront. I feel like they're under appreciated in a lot of these tracks, and for me, I feel like when I'm going through and listening to it, I really kind of, when I go through the different sort of stages of the album, I'll try to go through the guitar parts and listening really for the sort of leads and the rhythm guitar parts, and then the next part I'll try to go through the drums and the bass and stuff like that, and pick out things that I thought were interesting and were unique to the track. So I would definitely say that was great. I like that the rhythm guitars and the lead guitars create this really great ambience and melody to the track, that ultimately accents the backbone of this one. I like that the chorus has this sort of tenderness to it. It's very melodic, and it definitely has that ear-catching feel to it, in my opinion. So we're going to move into track number 9, which is Flesh and Bones. This one is also a favorite of mine. This one definitely takes you on a journey. It's a little bit more melodic in its approach. For some reason, it reminds me a lot of Frozen Creek off of Blue Sky Noise. It just has that sort of just feeling to it. It has that really kind of like journey experience to it, which I appreciate. Like the dual vocals from Anthony in this one as well. It kind of has that sort of harmonic pleasantness to it, which I like a lot. Definitely hitting all of the melodic notes, no pun intended, but it really just has this sort of atmosphere and this really sort of great sonic landscape that they were able to create in this track. And I also like that it's very simplistic and just kind of highlights, what we love a lot about Anthony's vocals. And it's those sorts of tracks where, to me, I find a lot of really great things that, little subtle nuances that, you might not be able to hear because they do a lot of like experimental, sort of ambient stuff. So it's cool to pick out that sort of subtleness and that just real refinement of, Circa Survive. I really feel like the track flows well for, again, being a longer track. I think it's around the sort of 5 minute mark as well. So, I really like how it flows and kind of finishes out. So we're gonna move into the last track, track number 10, which is the Ambulant, the title track. It is one of the singles as well. It came with a really cool music video, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I feel like this one also, much like Lustration, is a grower for me. After listening to it, I like how it flows very well into, Flesh and Bones kind of flows well into the Amulet. Sorry, I'm so bad with that. But anyway, I like that. I like the progression of the track. It kind of starts off slower and builds to a great sort of finale, which I appreciate. I also like the vocal range in this one. I like that, it changes throughout. Again, it starts off smoother, much like the instrumentals, and, it ends with sort of a raspy conclusion from Anthony, which I appreciate a lot. And I definitely feel like it encompasses, most of the sounds you'll find in this album, which is really cool as well. And just, the instrumentals carry that same sort of vibe as the vocals in, how it kind of progresses and moves on and then just kind of builds off that as the track progresses, which I appreciate. And I like that, it kind of starts off mellow and it kind of builds into that sort of melodic explosion that you come to expect from Circa Survive. And I like that they finish the album off on kind of a high note, a really kind of great sort of finale to, finite the record. So some pros and cons. There were some tracks that just maybe I wasn't personally feeling, like track number 9, The Night at Night Gets Worse, and maybe Premonition of the Hex. But I do like that they went on a different course with those two. Mainly track number 3. I feel like it's really kind of out of the ballpark, but I do like what was going on with that one. Overall, I really liked, Anthony's vocals obviously is something that's just iconic and true to a lot of the Circa records, obviously. But I really feel like he kind of did a lot on this record. There are some parts where, he kind of has that sort of softer, sort of more mellowy parts, and then he's got some really good raspy tracks, tracks that accent that are like Rites of Investiture, even like, Stay kind of has a little bit of that as well. And I wouldn't say Never Tell a Soul, but I like that. I also like the sort of melodic elements carried throughout this record. It really kind of transcends a lot of these tracks, and I feel like, to me, is something that, I attribute to Circa Survive. So it's definitely a huge focal point on this record. But any really bad things I have about it, I really don't have too much. I really think it's a solid record. It's definitely in my top of the Circus Survives record, probably closely behind Blue Sky Noise. It really has this great memorability to it, and each track has this sort of unique vibe to it, but also, is very connected in that regard. So I like that, again, that they experimented, but it also has that connectivity with a lot of these tracks where, it has that same sort of feeling or emotion evoked throughout these tracks. So my overall rating for Circa Survives the Amulet, I'm going to be giving it a 9.2 out of 10. I definitely feel like this one is one to check out. They are actually going on tour later this year with Thrice, Chon, and Balance and Composure. We are going to the New Jersey date at Starland, so I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to see Circa. I have not seen them live, which is kind of unfortunate considering that they're like from Philly, which is super close. So I'm really excited to see them. Thrice I've never seen either, which I'm excited to see. And then Balance I'm really excited to see as well. They put out a really awesome record this year too. So if you do go out to that show, hopefully you'll be able to catch them. And really excited for that. So let me know in the comments what's your thoughts on Circa Survive's The Amulet. Do you think it's good? Do you agree with my opinions? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a conversation about it. So if you guys want to comment, drop them down below. Also check out our Counterparts review. Really enjoyed that record a lot this year, so super excited to get that review out to you guys as well. So if you enjoy what you saw, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that thumbs up. There's links in the description to our merch store if you'd like to purchase something. That would be greatly appreciated. And thank you guys for watching this review. I really do appreciate it. My name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.